like my tattoo artist for Whiskey Tango.
I have to be close to my mic.
He's like, I'm just not that guy.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys just fucking see that? What? I'm like, Jeanette, you need to be further back. So I can't. I need to be by my mic.
Oh boy, Jenaya.
Sunday, you guys. It's been a long weekend.
To be alive, if you can't do that.
Okay.
All right, so episode 9 of Strong and Petty.
Welcome.
With your boys and now your girl, Jenaya.
Hey.
The local legend. What is your last name?
Hofer.
Hofer.
Well,
right?
Bergen now.
Bergen now.
I am
That's why I asked. I knew
It was
it was
Shots
Hofer, but
fired,
yeah.
Ryan already.
No way. We love him.
IFBB Pro?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Is that like so does that become like former IFBB Pro when you don't compete anymore, or do you just keep the title forever?
I keep the title forever.
As you should.
I have a card.
Yeah.
So,
You got
It
you
doesn't-
a physical card?
Yeah.
I didn't get a physical card
Does
when
it
I went pro.
expire or anything?
No.
No.
Don't you-
Well, you have to
No.
if you compete, you need to renew a card.
Okay.
So let's say I would compete this year, I would need to like get a new card. So yeah, it does expire. Well, no, I'm still a pro. I hold the title,
Okay.
but I guess I need like a valid
I wish that I got a card when I
card.
did the Strongman
I can
Pro
make you
thing.
one.
We didn't-
Should we make you one?
Yes, yeah, please.
Devin will make you a glass.
I bought a laminator. I bought a laminator at my office. I'll laminate it for
Beautiful. JF doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who'd be doing that kind of shit. So
Yeah.
Doesn't give a shit.
So there's another Tyler Sigurdsson in the city.
Yeah, he follows us.
Right. He goes to Iron Image, I think, which is also kind of strange. But it's just anyway. So he, JF followed him when I qualified for Canadians.
Yeah.
And then I messaged him and I was like, hey, just so you know, like this is the wrong one. Just I don't want to miss any pertinent information or whatever. And he was like, oh, okay. And he just didn't do anything about
care.
it.
Yeah.
Like didn't
Still follow him?
Still following him. Didn't follow me. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna tell JF what to do.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's 2 weeks since the last time we've met. How's things going on the competition fronts and the charity fronts and all that stuff?
How's deadlift? I missed the meeting on Thursday, but how's deadlift?
Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're at about $5,000 raised.
Fuck yeah, there you
and
go.
6 months out.
This work because we're way ahead of schedule.
We're way ahead.
I think
of
we
schedule.
only start always in May. Or
We
June,
typically
right?
start like we get it off the ground 6 months out.
Yeah.
And then 5 it gets moving. 4 we start making a push.
And goal is 50.
The goal is 50 grand
yeah,
this
okay.
year. Yeah. On paper 40, but like
also
Devin,
50.
Curtis, and myself have committed to 50.
Nice.
Yeah.
Try.
haven't done
Bob
shit
got a
yet,
corporate
so-
sponsor this morning.
I just seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, Bob's got a corporate sponsor, and Curtis was walking into a meeting for another.
I got a meeting coming up for 2 corporate sponsors I'm looking
Yeah.
at. So they told me to come sit down
I have
with
to
them.
talk to you about. Sorry,
No,
this is like off-air stuff, but I have to talk to you about some stuff for it.
Perfect.
Do we have? I know we're still really far out. Do we have an idea of like how many lifters we have yet for it or anything?
We
or?
already have 29.
Holy shit!
Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit.
How many do
and-
we have left?
I was gonna say like maybe we can like shout out to people as they sign up, but that's too fucking many.
Well,
Like,
we're sending out an email this week to everyone from the last couple years who have competed that haven't registered yet, and
Right.
I'm guessing that'll be another 5 to 10 people.
I know Brian wants to
Did
do it.
Jenaya sign up this year?
I have like disc problems.
Oh, weird.
I might just come and pull. I might sign up and then
Yeah,
just
just
pull
fuck
and
it.
just not
I got disc
train
problems.
for
I'll
it.
Just
I'll
take a
come pull a
token.
mid 300
Yeah,
pound deadlift.
I'll just
anyway.
not walk for the next week. But
Take a
it's okay.
token, and then this year we also added that you can register as just a fundraiser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I would want to pull, but I want to do the car
yeah.
deadlift.
Well, yeah.
then.
So
Yeah.
in Strongman, if you don't have an injury, you don't do car deadlift.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense
exactly.
to come in there uninjured.
I want to try to hit as close to 800 as I can get.
Nice. You're gonna do
On the car
conventional?
deadlift?
Me too.
Yeah.
On the car deadlift?
Yeah,
I'll label it.
Yeah,
I'll label it 805.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll max out my car deadlift.
There's some guys from your gym that we should be bullying into signing
Tyler,
up.
you're over 800.
They're-
Statistically. From what you're posting on your percentages on my math on my phone, you're peaked for over that.
I would love that. I love that's the case. But the problem is that when you get to like those like high numbers,
Yes,
like
it doesn't play in as much.
I'm at like 95% of 800, but I'm still like 55 pounds
Yeah.
shy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a lot of weight still, you know. But I'm hoping that it'll be there for. September, right? It's far
September
enough away.
16th,
Lots of
yeah.
time, so
16th.
Son of a gun.
And I get a
You'll
nice,
get it.
I get a nice
Don't show up
break.
September 10th.
I get a nice break from competing for that too, so I can kind of like focus on it a little bit, which will be nice. And the guys from my gym, they will be signing up. I think it's just people just dragging their heels a little bit. We have at least, we'll have at least 10 people come from my gym, I'm sure.
So,
yeah.
yeah. Chris had a big deadlift the other day.
Which Chris?
Chris who?
Nope.
You mean Dan?
Not Chris. Dan.
I'll say
Yeah.
not
Dan.
Chris.
Dan. Sorry.
Chris, you're still impressive.
Yeah, that
You're
was
still
yesterday.
impressive in my eyes.
Yeah.
Dan is.
Sorry, in my eye.
I made the joke that I'm going to have to start breaking up the bad programming pretty soon because he's going to start touching my numbers pretty soon.
cruising.
Yeah.
I think the way he's progressing, you could just program him dog shit training.
That's the thing.
and he would
like,
still progress.
Yeah, he's
There's
in
certain
a.
guys that just
go.
you just throw shit at him like, oh, they still got better. This sucks.
He's just got a willpower to him that's just like it's like even
Total
if I
dog.
Yeah, if I said like you can't do this, I'd be like, well, now I'm gonna for sure have to fucking go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
Like he had 320 on the log for a triple, which is like his current 1 rep max, and like he's just like it's gonna be. We're both prepping for the same show right now, which has been like a fucking godsend because
So what happens if he beats you at that show, Tyler?
he gets my
He
gym.
owns the gym.
Yeah, he gets my gym.
We were talking. So this got brought up yesterday with me and a couple buddies, and we we're talking about we've seen Dan's lift, we seen Dan's, I'm like shit, like they're doing really well. And me and a buddy talk like, what happens if Dan beats Tyler at his own pro show, his own pro debut in a sense?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. He said one, he'll make him look good as a coach. That because the generally, I missed the word, but a good coach is a guy who can make his athletes better than him. That's generally what.
That's never my goal.
Yeah.
Never my goal. Never.
Not yet.
No,
Wait till you're
no,
injured.
I want them to be firmly.
I'm the
second
ref in the
place to
comp,
me.
so I just take the reps away to make sure I win.
Right.
Yeah.
If Dan beats me, it'll be like a Chris Benoit scene where you'll walk in and I'll be hanging from my pull down machine, and that'll be the end of it.
Well, at least Dan gets a gym.
But Dan gets the
And you'll
gym.
have
yeah.
keys hanging from the bell
Yeah,
end.
exactly. To Dan. It'll say on it.
You'll have to touch it to get the keys off.
Yeah. But yeah, we're prepping for this Farm Strong show, which has been it's a circuit show, so it's a pro show, and it's been fucking rough. Like if I was doing it by myself, I don't know. I don't think I've talked about this yet. I don't hear, have I?
No.
Yeah, I don't think if I was doing it by myself, I could honestly handle it. Like it's St. Malo every weekend to train for it.
Yeah, that's a shithole, dude.
I fucking hate that dump. And then we gotta move all the equipment out of the way. Like so, we have to move all the equipment off the turf, load up the yoke, load up the frame. Unloading of that, obviously. The power stairs is like a big pain in the ass to set up. Like the shield, the stones, everything is just like nothing is just pick up and go. Nothing is just a simple like, oh, here's a squat or a deadlift or something. You know what I
and then
mean?
you got to clean it up after.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
But we do.
Shots
No,
fired.
you do.
Yeah, we do. Okay. I was like,
Yeah,
you do.
you do.
there's certain groups of gym-going guys just on Instagram and like training partners in the city or different cities, and you're like, those guys just jerk each other off, right? Like, and I'm like, irony isn't about that. But then I walked into the gym today, and there was an open container of coconut oil
In the
We're
bathroom,
literally jerking each other.
and I'm like, Atlas stones or someone hit a good lift.
I don't
And
see
they
why.
both
I
had
don't
good
see why I
deadlifts
couldn't do
yesterday.
both. Yeah. No, and it's one of those things where it's like it's been as much of a mental test. Like I'm trash today. Like we had to do like the 900 yoke yesterday for a couple runs, and it was like I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, like I feel okay, and then I just like twisted my hips to get out of bed, and I just like I had to stay there for about 10 more minutes after that. Like it was brutal.
Yeah. I always find it funny. Just this week, someone told me that she took 2 days off the gym because her legs were sore. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I've been sore since I was 16.
What is
Like,
it?
I don't remember the last day I wasn't sore.
When can we just take 2 days off of life?
Yeah. Well, okay, because I'm in that phase right now where it's like I want to just like stop. Like I just
Totally.
I'm so over it, and I hate the training, and I hate the way that I feel and stuff. But it's like it's obviously with the goal in mind. But with you sort of bring like a different perspective to this that we don't normally have on the show because we have the powerlifting, we have the strongman, we had McDowell who's strongman,
We don't
whatever.
have CrossFit.
We don't. Yeah, we'll never have a CrossFit person on here.
Oh, I thought you were referring to me.
No, not you.
Sorry.
But like, so when you're like, I've always said that like I don't like bodybuilding is like I would never because it just doesn't seem fun to me because
it's not
just
for
like,
everybody.
No, and it's just like the training is fucking rough. The leading up to the show is like horrific. The day of the show is horrific, and then you get like some cool photos afterwards, and that's pretty much like the you know what I'm saying. Like, but what like at what point like what are sort of like the peaks and valleys that you get when you're training, especially for a pro show? I'd be curious about that.
For training.
Or prep in general.
Okay, so prep. Just daily changes. Yeah. Like just watching your body change is like the only motivation that you have in like those last 6 weeks to the show.
So 6 weeks you start
Literally.
feeling just like you're fucking depleted.
And then you go look in the mirror. Well, that's why we like mirrors when we're training. You look in the mirror, it's like, fuck, I look wicked. Like,
sweet,
let's
yeah.
get more, right? And then it's like, okay, well, I don't need a cheat meal tonight. Let's push harder. And then I guess that's what drives you, even though you're...
Do you reach a point where you're just like, you probably don't, but maybe some people do, where you're just like, fuck this, like, I'm over it, like I don't want to do it anymore. Or
Oh
like,
yeah, I've had many moments where I quit and okay, next morning, well, whatever, let's try it again. Yeah, no, for sure. But the last prep that I did in 2017, It was about 3 weeks of that. 3 weeks of, Kate, I want to do it. Kate, I don't want to do it. Kate, let's do it. And then I just had to call it quits because it was bad.
It was terrible. She was living with me.
I was living with Devin at the time. It was after I moved home from Vegas.
We had, it was
bad.
There was some tension. So you know how I live, and I know things get done for me at home. I don't do my own shit. my food gets made. Everything. My lawn's mowed. Everything's done for me. Yeah, it's just the way things are. So the nice thing about having her there was she's just like my wife in that sense.
Second wife.
I mean, I literally had to do nothing for those couple months. It was literally, if Danielle was busy.
Prepping too.
Yeah, Danielle was prepping too. Yeah, I had both of them prepping in the house at the same time. But it was to the point where I was grumpy. I don't know what I was dealing with then. Actually, that's right when I quit the gym. I was deep into depression then, so I was not a good person to be around. She was prepping, and so she's not a good person to be around.
This whole household just
it was tense
your
as
poor
hell.
Kids are just like, what's going on?
I would come home from work. I would come home from the gym. So I'd go to work. I'd hit the gym on the way home just to clear my head. And I would walk in, and as I would walk in, she'd say, "Oh, how's your day? Good." And then she would walk downstairs.
Yeah.
And then we didn't talk for the whole night.
Nothing.
And then when I would leave in the morning, she would come back upstairs, and I would get home. She would go back downstairs because we knew the two of us in the same house where I was in mentally with my depression, Danielle being prepping, and her being prepping. There was just no way.
Just a powder keg.
It would have been bad. Yeah. So we just dodged each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing ever blew up or anything.
My house was clean.
But that's because
my meals
you
were
did
good.
that,
I was happy.
Exactly.
No, sorry, please go.
I've seen firsthand, and I participated, that strongman, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
As much as
bodybuilding or strongman?
No, strongman.
Oh, okay.
So as much as when you're out there, it's an individual sport. It's all like rarely do successful guys train alone.
Right.
And my best days with powerlifting were like with Jordan and Quinn, or going down to Twin City Barbells, or with
getting
4
out
or
with
5
people.
guys or people, male, female, whatever. I never seem to see, and I'm not involved in the community, but bodybuilders seem to be
Isolated.
Yeah.
Well,
and is that generally the case?
Yeah, and that was probably one of my biggest problems, was that I lived at Devin's house for that prep, and I wasn't by myself in the city in my little apartment, going to a job in the morning. Go to the gym, go to a job. Go to the gym, go to a job. Go to a gym, that's all I did. So when you can stay focused like that, then it's a lot easier to just lock it down, tunnel vision, no distractions.
So you prefer to be isolated?
Oh yeah, I have to.
That was 6 years ago. So Cadence would have been 10. Morgan would have been.
So
Cadence would
here
have been 4
I had
and
like
6.
family and everything else going on, and it was like, no, I want to go do this with them, but no, I gotta go do my cardio. I gotta go train.
And the girls would
so then I hated it.
The girls were on you all the time. Hey, Auntie Jenaya, let's play.
Well, because I was also gone for 2 years because I lived in California and then Vegas, and then it was right when I moved back home.
Yeah.
So it was like family just wanted to be, and I wanted to be around them because I missed them. So it just wasn't good timing.
One of the things I still think, as far as like the best people in any iron sport, is strongmen.
Oh,
as much as I love powerlifting, the best people, the best like backstage or warm up room or whatever you want to call it, is strongmen, and they don't take themselves too serious, but they work hard, and everyone pushes everyone else to be better.
Right, like everybody's on the sidelines cheering for the next guy, you know.
Yeah, and you can only be the best that you're going to be. Mm-hmm. If I show up and Tyler's there, I'm not going to try and like get in his head and whatever for me to like maybe beat him somehow.
Right.
I just know that he's going to place where he's going to place, and I'm going to. So I might as well help him as best as I can. And strangers.
I like that about like powerlifting and strongman in general, is that you have a pretty good idea. Like strongman's a little bit more variable in that way because you can have, there's so many, like it's more like a real sport in the sense that there's like different angles that things can go in different directions.
You could trip with an implement and lose
the
8
powerlifting,
points.
The powerlifting and strongman both, you kind of like show up being like, I know who I'm going to beat and I know who I'm not going to beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it kind of takes away that pressure of like, you got to be in this like fucking killer mode.
Well, and looking at bodybuilding, like you're selfish. Like that is your life. You can only focus on yourself, and that's all you focus on. So everybody else, you're better than everybody, right?
Yeah. Right.
You're already like, you feel like a winner. So then I guess you kind of go into the show with like, or even a couple weeks out and start posting videos and pictures like, oh, I got this. I mean, I don't do that.
You feel like you have to be that way?
You have to have a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, in order to push yourself through those workouts and stick to that diet and stick to the whole program, you can't start thinking like down thinking yourself.
Right.
I mean, at least for myself, so to speak.
So when you're talking about how you would like not this last one, but the ones before that, you would sort of isolate yourself and stuff. This might be kind of it sounds like kind of a corny question, and I wouldn't ask it to somebody who's not you because I wouldn't believe their answer. But like, did you feel like suffering was kind of part of the
it
gig?
is. Yeah.
Like did you like
it's a form of self-harm.
like you accept like you like
it is.
you, like,
It literally is.
like kind of use that, you know what I mean? Like okay.
Definitely. For sure.
Because if you ask somebody else that, and they'll be like
I don't like
absolutely.
saying
I'll be like,
suffering
fuck you, but
because
for her,
there's people who actually suffer and it's out of their control. Like if I want a burger, I can go eat a burger. I choose not to.
Yeah.
So I don't like the whole suffer and starving. Like no, you're not.
Right.
You decide to do this, but
Right.
the form of like the feeling of depletion and not allowing yourself to, it gives you a sense of like greater control.
You mean that the guy's posting like, "Oh, we're going to war." You're not. You're going to.
Oh, that.
I'm a lion. I'm
That
a sheep.
guy-
and all
ready
that
for
shit.
battle.
Yeah.
Going to war.
It's like, no, dude. There's military guys going to
Right.
war. You're going to a bodybuilding show,
Right.
Like,
And like speaking of kind of that thing, like the idea of like going to war or whatever. You were kind of doing that though at McDonald's though. Like of all the people that I've seen
Mentally-
do that, like you were like in a fucking space where I was like, and I said this last time before you were on the thing, was that I was pretty afraid of you when I was working there, where I was like, because you were working there too.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to tell her shit, and I'm not going to ask anything of her when she's training, because you were like fucking Terminator when you were training,
when I was
right?
training, like work-wise, I think I was pretty. I mean, you and Chris sat me down before you hired me and were
Yeah.
like, "Okay, you gotta like change the
Be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like take the bitch face off and
Yeah.
welcoming. So that was good. I think I dealt with that okay.
But it was nice
training
having
was-
you, because there were times where someone would ask Chris or I something, and as much as like we are who we are, we're still kind of like softies and like bent over backwards to like keep a client.
Right,
And there were
yeah.
times where it was just like, go ask Jenaya.
Just to give him a straight answer.
Yeah, it was like
exactly.
good cop, bad cop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Go ask your mom.
Yeah.
Because we knew that you'd say no.
Or like how
and-
it goes, I guess.
Yeah,
how it's
and
supposed to.
we could just lean on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we
and
wanted
I'm a
to,
girl,
but
right?
Jenaya said
it's
no.
like,
So
yeah, whatever. No, it was good.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about too. Like, okay, so a buddy of mine. Okay, so I need to set the table for this a little bit here, but like since his death, Rich Piana has become, I would say, more famous than he was even when he was like alive and working and stuff, right?
In a sense,
he's
yeah.
become this very niche like internet celebrity of like the online bodybuilding community.
Yeah, the clips they
Well, the
put of him
memes
in
and
like.
videos
But
and motivation.
The weird
and-
part is that I have a bunch of friends who have never seen the inside of a gym who are big fans of Rich Piana.
Well,
Five
yeah, and-
percenters.
Yeah,
They're-
and,
but they don't know anything about fucking lifting. They don't know anything about whatever. But they just like, I fucking love his videos. I love what like
because he
when
was so real and
he's
so
like,
different.
he's funny and he's weird, and it's just like what he's talking about is like fucking so out there, and he's doing all this weird shit. Like he's like shooting guns and whatever, blah blah blah. And for anybody who doesn't know, like you were on his team,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you were signed to his
Yeah,
what's
to
it called,
his-
5%ers?
Yeah, 5%.
Right?
nutrition.
Yeah. And he came to the gym. He came to McDonald's
McDonald's.
once, and I didn't. At that point, I didn't know or give a fuck or whatever, so I didn't in any way encounter or talk to him. But I think that people would be kind of interested to know like what he was like, sort of like behind the scenes, like when the camera wasn't on or whatever. Because he's such a weird like enigmatic character to people who just know him online for
Right.
the weird sound bites and stuff that you.
Well,
hear.
no, and like there's people who are just totally different on camera and people who
For sure.
are who they are in real life. But he was who he was in real life.
Really?
Like that's what you got. Like very random and spur of the moment shit. And like we can do anything. Like he gets an idea in his head and it gets done kind of thing. So he kind of gave that off in his videos as well, where, work hard and do whatever you want. But that was, kind of a downside to him as well, where it was like, hey, no, I can do whatever I want. I'm Rich Piana.
Kind of like a full throttle all the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because a buddy sent me
very intense.
Yeah, that's the
but
impression.
very, very like logical and smart and like a super good businessman.
Was
We
obviously a
had really
businessman,
good
yeah.
conversations with him.
Yeah, he had more than just 5%. If I'm correct, he had real estate.
Oh, he had lots of real estate in California.
yeah, he
like
had-
all over California actually.
Yeah.
He was into a lot of different businesses, but he was very smart in the business sense.
A buddy of mine sent me a screen cap of him and someone sitting at Santa Lucia Pizza, and he was like, "Hey, check it out! This is actually Winnipeg." And I was like, "Yeah, that's because he knows you." I was like, "Oh, that's Devin's sister-in-law."
Oh,
He's
God.
like, "What the fuck, really?" Like
Small world.
Yeah, so it was just
Yeah.
it was a weird thing though.
Yeah, those things are still floating around. Same
was
with
a
that
massive
video.
pizza, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big pizza.
he came
we
out-
didn't.
You didn't finish it?
We didn't actually finish it.
Oh,
Sorry.
movie magic.
Sorry, but no, we didn't. That was
Because he came out 2015. He was at my bodybuilding show.
2015.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a guest.
Did he beat you?
No, he took way more than GH than me, but I somehow won. Yeah, no, I have a picture with I wasn't whatever, but Paulo was the guest poser.
Yeah, Paulo Almeida
was there with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're both there, so we hung out with him a bit there and chatted and stuff. Yeah, I got along with him good.
Great guys.
Yeah.
That would be a weird pairing to see you with Rich Piana, I feel
I have a picture of him, like Paulo, my dad, like, and you know how little my dad is, and then Rich.
Oh yeah,
and it's
there's
just
a pic of that.
that's a funny picture.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But no, everywhere we went, like expos, any other shows that we were traveling to, like he always brought the same energy and the same vibe, and that's why we always had like the longest lineups. But like you said, people who follow him have never been in a gym.
A lot of people.
And there were so many people in those lineups that literally just came to those expos to see him. And like they don't lift weights. They have nothing to do with the fitness industry. And it's just like, wow, like you're going to stand here for 4 hours to like get a picture with this guy.
I mean, he was like a real celebrity.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, he wasn't like
he was like legit
a fitness celebrity.
Not an influencer or
Right.
whatever the hell you want to call those people
like
nowadays.
these days. Yeah, now these days.
Yeah. Everybody who wants to be like that, but fuck out of here.
Yeah, he would have been he would actually have been kind of like a prototype influencer, I guess, in that way. Like he would have been like, whatever.
Set the standard.
We're saying influencer is kind of a bad word, but he was like an early guy who was like on the internet, like doing that kind of shit and having like a personality and having a YouTube channel and all that shit.
Yeah.
And now it's everyone and their fucking dog, including all of us, have that kind of stuff, right? But like it's interesting to see sort of like the genesis of that sort of shit with like a guy like him who was actually entertaining and actually had done stuff and was actually interesting, and now it's just like fucking Joe Blow who has six-pack can make a YouTube channel that everyone watches.
Yeah.
If it's edited well or
Who
whatever.
honestly hasn't done shit, but he just
The timing for him, like everything was perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
And you look at like when Ronnie Coleman came by our old gym.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was 2014.
It was, and this is not a knock against Ronnie, but it was actually a letdown.
Like how many people came out?
You'd almost rather not meet him.
Well, he's
because
he
he just came off hip surgery.
Right.
Another one.
Right.
Just came off a flight. He's tired. Half of his walking he did on crutches.
The things, yeah.
And he's probably 100 pounds lighter. So we spent the early days of like buddy, like all that stuff.
Right.
And you meet him and then he's just like tired and you're like disappointed.
Yeah.
And another guy you brought through actually was Scott Steiner. We were like, Big Papa Pump's coming. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Just got off a flight. His back, like the guy can barely stand upright.
Yeah.
Friendly, super friendly.
Yeah.
But wasn't overly talkative. Like,
was a big letdown. It was. Yeah.
I hate to say that about them because both of them were extremely nice.
Yeah.
But you wanted the character and you got the person.
Well, you wanted it to be 1999 all over again.
Yeah.
And have him walk out of the fucking thing wearing his chainmail and be like, oh my God, it's Big fucking Papa Pump.
Yeah, but they were like ahead of the curve.
Right.
Because had they been born 10 years later, I think they would have been, both of them, 10 times as big as they were.
Right.
For sure.
Because they would have had YouTube channels. They probably would have had a podcast.
Sure.
We would have seen them in their prime.
Not just magazines and television, minor.
I wrestled Steiner a couple times, and I remember I went to go pin him and put his arm to the mat,
oh no,
like here, and he fucking he grabbed my hair and stopped me. He's like, it doesn't fucking bend that way, and I was like, okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
Hilarious.
It doesn't bend this way. That's the way his arm doesn't bend, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steiner was an interesting one too because he was one that I got to drive around with, and between strongman and wrestling, I've kind of met all my heroes or people that I look up to in that way. You know what I mean? So it was it was a very surreal. It didn't feel weird at the time, but it's surreal looking back on it now that I was just driving around downtown Winnipeg with Scott Steiner in my car. He's telling me stories about Macho Man and stuff, and I was just like, this is fucking weird.
Well, that's how I feel about because I chauffeured him around. I picked him up from the airport, brought him to his hotel, everything, and it was like, man, I did all that. It's just it's weird to think, but yeah.
And then it's funny then because it's just the idea that you would meet somebody where it's I'm pretty unfazed by celebrities and stuff now. And I
Completely.
Are you? Would you give? Who's a celebrity that you would meet that you would I need a photo of this person right now?
Oh man, I'm not a guy who generally gets starstruck.
Yeah.
I just think everybody's just a normal person that just made it. But
Yeah.
I don't really know. There's people on my bucket list I want to see.
Is there a old a band or
It's
an
on
actor?
my bucket list as much people. I want to see Aaron Lewis in concert before I pass.
Is he a young
He
guy
was
or
the lead
older guy?
singer of Stained. But
Okay,
then he
okay.
went into more country stuff, and I
Right,
like a lot
right,
of his.
right.
So by bucket list, you mean like bottom of the bucket?
and I've been to I've been to
Hey.
Metallica, I've been to Guns N' Roses, and those weren't on my bucket list. I want to see Aaron Lewis.
There's something to be said for having good, achievable goals like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's like I
Mark
would
Simpson set the bar so low that even if you get it, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I would say if I met Dwayne Johnson. Just I like what he does for a lot of the charities. I like a lot of the stuff, the work he does. And he's one guy who's never been. Tiger Woods had his whole affair things. He got exploited out, and and I'm sure there's reasons why Dwayne Johnson hasn't been exposed or whatever. But a lot of what he does at charities, I think, is pretty cool. So I'm generally not a guy who's starstruck on actors or you're a great actor. I like people who actually do shit for people. That's who I admire.
I like weird ones. That's the ones that like get me. Like if I
Met Pamela Anderson probably. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I don't think give a fuck about that even, to be honest with you. But when I would meet wrestlers that were in this place that I'm in right now, but I was watching them in high school, I was like, oh my fucking God, it's Dingo. Like that was one of the wrestlers. And I was just like, and there's a guy that nobody would fucking know about. And I was like, I need a picture with Dingo. And they'd be like, it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but it just has like a personal connection to me. Like I don't really care about the celebrity thing for me anymore. Yeah. Like if I met fucking Kurt Angle or whatever, I'd be like, oh cool, it's Kurt Angle. I just walk by. I saw The Undertaker at a gym in Austin, Texas. And it was weird. He was wearing all baby blue. It was very, very strange.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Is it Crip?
Yeah. And I walked out and I walked to the change room. He walked by me and I was just like, oh. And I just walked backwards into the change room and closed the door behind me.
Yeah.
And I texted my girlfriend at the time and I was like, is Undertaker in the gym right now? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And then I just didn't talk to him the whole fucking time I was there. I just completely pretended like The Undertaker wasn't in the gym with me. Yeah. Because I was just like, well, what would I do or say that would be interesting to him? Be like, oh, I'm a wrestler too. And he'd be like, great kid. Like, I don't really give a fuck. Cool.
I'm a pretty big deal in Winnipeg.
Where's that?
Well, that's what my buddy said. He's like, you should have just lied and said that you sat with him for 2 hours and just learned from him and and I was like, oh yeah, I should have said that, shouldn't I have?
I was at a it was like, again, it's cool being in the moment, but asking for a picture. I think you kind of cut that stuff off at 12.
Yeah.
But I was at a powerlifting meet in Minneapolis. I'm in the back room, and I pull out my chewing tobacco. I pull out some Grizzly, and this older guy beside me is like, "What you got?" I'm like, "Oh, a little Grizz." And Chewer's Creed, you always offer.
Yeah.
And he takes some, and he's like, "A Grizzly guy, hey?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can't get it up in Canada." So I always load up when I'm down here, and he's like, "We're in Canada." I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Winnipeg," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've wrestled there before." No idea who he is. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And just kind of I wasn't going to pry. And I figured he's like a jobber, right? And he's like, yeah, do they still have that old arena there? I'm like Winnipeg Arena? He's like, yeah, it was downtown or something. It's where your hockey team played. And I'm like, oh, it's...
I don't know if I've heard the story before, actually.
Oh, yeah, so I'm like, no, it's they tore that down. It's downtown now. He's like, oh, man, I used to love that old barn. He's like, Winnipeg was a great place to wrestle. So I'm like, well, who did you wrestle for? And he's very humble about it. He's like, oh, I was, you probably never heard of me. You're a younger guy, but I was in a wrestling group called Demolition.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Was it Billy D?
I don't remember his real, he was Smash.
Oh, yeah.
And he's from Minneapolis, and he coaches powerlifting now.
I think it's Billy D. Yeah.
And, yeah, we kind of just chatted the rest of the day, mostly about powerlifting. I didn't want to fanboy, even though, once introduced, I knew who he was, and I was a fan of Demolition. But it was just one of those things where you're I'd rather chat with you and have the memory than have an empty picture and show people.
Get something out of it.
Barry Dorso, not Billy D. Barry Dorso.
Okay.
Barry Dorso was the guy from Minnesota. I wrestled with them on a show in Rookie Sports Bar in Transcona. So if you can imagine what it must have felt like to be I'm going to Winnipeg to wrestle in the Winnipeg Arena for the WWF. I'm wrestling, but they were fucking actually real, a lot of guys. You can sense that decline, that feeling of being kind of pissed off of where they are now. But those guys were both fucking awesome. They were super, super nice.
Such a
really
nice
cool
guy.
Yeah, and older guys like that have been around for a long time, but they're not always usually thrilled to go and travel to a bar to Winnipeg to wrestle. But they were super friendly, super polite, and really cool.
Well, that's right, because I'd rather talk to a business guy and get some stuff from him. The one guy I do follow, I listen to his podcast religiously. I don't hit every episode because I don't have the time, but it's Andy Frisella. Oh, yeah. So he owns First Form, obviously a wealthy guy. From what I understand from his stories, built himself up from having nothing, He's a pretty wealthy dude. And we have a lot of the same political views, a lot of the same, center right views of things.
Center right.
Straight
And,
shooter.
I was actually listening to his podcast on the way here, but he's a guy I'd like to chat with just to pick his brain a bit on how he built his companies, because he did a linear, from what I understand from me, more of a linear business model, just building upon himself. Some guys, all these millionaires are like, oh, you have to have 7 streams of income from 7 different branches and this and that, and he did it all linear, which is a lot nicer, which is kind of what I like. But
See, I do. Actually, I should say too. Like, I like meeting guys. Like I said, guys that I think are cool. Like Jeff Dolan is a guy from Regina who was like maybe the second, I think, Canadian who did World's Strongest Man. And he's just like lives in Regina and just like comes to shows sometimes and stuff, and no one knows who he is. And I'm just like, that's fucking Jeff Dolan. Like, he competed in World's Strongest Man, And it's just like those kind of ones are the ones that are interesting to me. Or like,
well, when Dave Austin came out,
or Scott Cummins, even too. Like,
you
guys
could talk
like,
to Dave Austin about training. He's just a normal dude. He'd give you any tips and
I like the ones that are.
Not the ones who know that they're celebrities.
Yeah, I guess
think that they're
Yeah,
celebrities.
maybe that's a good way to put
Like
it. The guys who are more specific.
Who did you meet in the
Dark
bodybuilding
Knights.
world that was like, so we know Rich Piana was exactly kind of what he was.
Who's the biggest
when I met
asshole
him.
you met in the bodybuilding
Who
world?
was the biggest?
You guys.
So we can tag him in this.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's do some call outs.
Yeah, how can we get our ratings to plummet
This is tough.
from nothing?
Tough narrowing it down.
There's just such
No,
a
there's
huge
one,
list
but
of
I just
people.
don't know if I should say it or
I
not.
know, yeah.
What does it rhyme with?
Come up with a pseudonym and then just tell us a story, like a fake name, and then come and tell us.
I don't even know if it's who I'm thinking of, isn't it?
I don't even know if I have a story. It was just whatever, an expo or whatever. We were in the booth next to him.
Jay
and
Cutler. Was it really?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jay, you're not gonna watch this, but yeah, he was just a prick the whole entire time.
I had no. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I had
no.
no idea. I was totally kidding. I had no idea that's who it was going to be.
Like, yeah, he's just, I don't know.
Arrogant or
I just
Yeah.
said the only bodybuilder
like-
I could think of.
But we were also like a really loud
Kai
and
Green.
obnoxious.
yes, the 5%
Like, we
boost
were at
for-
an expo and we were next to their booth, and yeah, he just like was constantly like, keep those people down and like keep your lines separate, like just causing
Old
like,
man Cutler, hey, just
Yeah.
trying to keep all the young guys
Yeah.
down over there.
yeah, pretty much. It was just chaos, whatever. But
Well, if Jay Cutler's watching, and I'm sure he is, I still like you, even though Jenaya doesn't.
no,
so.
no, I didn't say I didn't like him. He's great. He's an awesome bodybuilder, great businessman,
I
whatever.
think you're pretty
but
cool. You should share our show.
That's probably just one moment that I
If
can
he
think
listens
of.
to this, I hope he calls you out. Because for one, we'd get a share on it, and it'd be pretty cool.
A lot of people would watch this then.
That's awesome.
I would jump on the Jay Cutler boat and just trash all mine.
There's
sure, I
probably
would be
more,
all-
but
I
it's
would
been
keep-
so long.
I'd be Team
too.
Cutler
I
all
would
over that.
bring
for
it up
sure.
at family gatherings.
I don't
Yeah,
want
of all
to. I don't want to
people.
get too much of an interview or anything, but like, are you thinking about competing at all in the,
I like
future
being
or not in your
married,
future? Yeah.
You like being alive?
Married.
Oh,
I love my husband, so I'm not sure if I want him to leave me.
he
but
would leave.
he actually wouldn't. But I don't know if I'd want him to put him
I'd
through
convince
that.
him to.
Right.
Is the thing. No, I don't know. It might not.
For some reason, I thought you were kind of edging towards that, but not really.
Just gonna wait till she's a master.
I get into good shape, and then I'm like, man, I should compete. And then I go out and do something fun, and then it's like, no, fuck this. And
Right.
then, I don't know. It's just too.
It's probably the fact that you pulled out the last one 3 weeks out, and you know how shitty it was leading into that, and it's like, do you want to go through that for 6 to 8 weeks? It's not the first 12 weeks you prepped that are the worst.
No.
From my
Not at
understanding,
all.
when I did it, it was those last 8
It's
weeks
the last
when
8.
you got ice at everybody, and you've literally got 8 weeks, and everyone's like, well, 8 weeks isn't that long. But
And
8
it's
weeks,
not, but-
24 hours a day, and you're
8
not
weeks
sleeping
is
properly, it's a
fucking plenty of
long
time.
Yeah.
time.
That's plenty of time.
When you're living that every minute of the day and you're miserable, that's a long time to be miserable.
Right.
And you don't want to be, and before it was like, I had a goal. I wanted to turn pro.
Right.
I did whatever I needed to do to turn pro. And now, like, I just don't have that same drive to compete as a pro, if that makes sense. And I
Right.
know that some people will look at that bad, but you win your pro card, and then, like, next level is Olympia, and I could do that, but I'm also banned from the U.S. right now. And I had a 10-year ban on me because I overstayed a visa when I moved down there.
10 years, eh? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
and I just went there last weekend to the border to clear that up. So a few more months, and I should be able to cross.
I shouldn't say you're miserable, because people who do that's a shot of bodybuilders. You're not miserable, because when I did, I enjoyed the process. But you're in a different state of mind. Like you said, you're selfish. Do you want to go through 8 weeks of
Make
selfish?
sure, make sure you
vision.
defend our bodybuilding community that's
Yeah.
watching this.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah.
No, we love bodybuilding. Oh, I do.
Our
but-
bodybuilding community is at the table with us. I want to go back further, actually,
Okay.
and why the first show, and then what kept you going after the first
How
show.
do you even get into the first show?
Because
You know how.
He knows how, but they don't.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'll tell.
Because I did one, and I did it to educate myself more about bodybuilding. And as a coach, the more tools I have in my bag, the more I can help people.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. That's
Training
a
I
good way to
didn't
start.
love. The training I didn't love. I'm not a big strict diet guy.
Okay.
So I did it, and I did it to a T, and that was fine. Being at the show, I hated every second of it because I'm used
I
to,
was the same. I couldn't stand being there.
like, we become friends through training.
Yeah.
And at competitions, and I've made friends like Marshall Johnson, who I'm really good friends with, and Joseph Gross, who I'm really good friends with.
Right.
I met them competing against them,
Right.
and we built a friendship on that. And bodybuilding,
You
it
were
just
just-
seemed like people would step over you for a spot in line.
Right.
And,
Well, you have guys mean mugging you backstage.
and it was just a very weird. So and I'm just not that guy.
Okay. I have a good explanation for this.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, you woke up one morning and you're just like, I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. Did you see someone or something, or what were the steps that led you? Because you did it and followed it and were extremely successful.
Yeah.
You turned pro in 2 years. 2
Yeah,
or 3 years.
2 years.
2 years.
I started training. Well, I've always been like athletic, sports, blah blah blah. So then I turned into a runner. I ran every day. And then Devin
I remember the running days.
decided to bring me to St. Pierre Gym. So I started working out there, and whatever, he showed me some stuff. So Devin initially is what introduced me to weightlifting. Thank you. And my body just, like, after only doing cardio and long distance running, and I started adding a little bit more protein in and training hard, because I've always been like, work hard. So I trained hard. So I started to change like crazy. And then everybody there was like, hey, you should try doing like a bodybuilding show. You look like you could do something, right? And then, the next one was in Winnipeg, Maba, I guess, in 2013. Holy smokes. So I was like, okay, well,
You're
I'll
old
just,
already.
I know.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, he threw your age out last show.
You did? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm 31. I'll be 32 in June.
I think you were wrong 3 times.
He said 32 and then 31 and then 32.
Yeah, except for when your birthday was.
Almost right. So anyways, so I decided I'm going to do this show. I moved to the city for that, just to get my training in properly, to go to McDonald's, because I was driving in every day, and be closer to grocery stores, blah, blah, blah. And I need to isolate myself. So I did that, moved there in 2012, competed 2013, March, and I won my show. And I guess just that,
The
high and knowing, holy smokes, I can do this.
And you did your first show with Darren?
Yeah, Darren Mailing, Freak Fitness. All my shows were with Darren.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the only coach I've ever worked with. And yeah, so won the first one, the second one, the third one. I didn't do as well. Still got second, I think. So then that qualified me for provincials the following year. I won that. And then the next year was 2015, did the Arnold. And
You
I
placed well at the Arnold's.
Yes, very well. I didn't expect to.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And like I went into that show, that was a tough.
the focus
tough
was
prep.
North Americans.
Yeah, that was a tough prep because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. This was like my first international show. So I got 6th out of like 29 girls or something. And then, set on North Americans, which was in Pittsburgh, where I won my pro card later in 2015. And then, but like you said, like you didn't like. So I'm very, so even to this day, I'm very like religiously like strict on everything.
Yeah.
Like Devin knows. My vitamins come with me. I eat 5 meals
Dude,
a day.
she's got a
chicken.
tackle box, man.
Literally. But like just because I'm not competing, none of that has changed. So I guess I'm a very structured person, so I thrive off of that. Once everything's inconsistent, then I'm chaos. So that's why I guess bodybuilding has been good for me, or easier to do than just. That's why I'm saying it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Yeah,
It's like a specific
and I
personality
don't
type.
I don't have friends. Like I have my family, but I don't go out and like hang out with friends. And
Still to
I
this
literally
day.
hang out with my family.
Still to this day.
and to
The-
this
the-
day,
the-
even though I have all this freedom.
I would say the downfall of the bodybuilding from an outside perspective, from what I see, would be because you were so disciplined and you alienate yourself so far, you can't get past that alienation. I shouldn't say you can't. It's a struggle for you Like to get Jenaya to stay out after 8 o'clock.
Oh, no.
Oh my goodness, man! Like, but lately,
Actually, last night I did. I was beaver hunting
9:15.
last night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to take that post. Jenaya 1, Beaver 0. I'm like, it's 2023. I wasn't sure where we're headed with that.
Yeah, no.
You were beaver hunting yesterday?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
well, right by your land. So I probably got one of those ones that was down.
Well, yeah, because Greg shot one the other day, and now all of a sudden I was there today, and it was dammed up. My road was flooded, and I'm like, what the shit? So it means that beaver. So you got him.
Yeah, well, I got one, and then there was another one swimming. I missed the second one, so there's one more.
What do you
I pulled
do
her down
with the
apart this
beaver?
morning.
Well, we didn't have a dog with. Usually we have a hunting
Throw it
dog
in the dish.
that will come and get them or take them out of the water, but we just left these ones in there. But a lot of guys use them for bear bait.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
because
dude, you
they
put them in a
stink so
pail.
bad.
You put them in a pail. You put it in the sun for a couple weeks and let the thing rot. You punch a hole in the bottom of the pail. You hang it up from a tree 15, 20 feet in the air.
Man, people
and the
buy
bears,
these things off
the
you.
bears will eat the
Really?
ground
Yeah,
that
just
drips
for
on.
bait.
They'll eat the dirt.
Like
That
they're,
was foul.
It is a great bear bait.
it's a bad smell, but yeah, it works. So
I was
that's what
waiting to hear
happens.
was the
there.
secret ingredient in your moonshine.
Beaver tail. No, but that's legit what you do with them.
That's fucking.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really gross, but I guess we can probably go on to a question on that.
Can you eat beaver?
note.
I wouldn't.
I've done
But-
it lots.
Beakley.
I don't know. I've eaten a lot of things, but I don't know if. Oh wait. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't. But
Janelle
you know,
still wouldn't.
My goodness,
approve.
Beakley.
fully.
Goodness gracious, Beakley. So I got a couple good questions here that I actually
We got a
like.
couple good. I don't really hit some this episode, some that, but we got some good ones.
These are on my
Oh, you have some of your own?
personnel page, but I like the idea that we can ask these questions too because we also have a different perspective here than we normally have with the bodybuilding chick over here. So the question that was asked is what the expectations of somebody should, and I think it's probably different for bodybuilding than everything else, but or it could be. What are the expectations that someone should have for themselves in their first time? He said in a strongman or powerlifting comp, but let's also add the extra slash of bodybuilding in that one too. Like, what's a realistic expectation for you to have in your first bodybuilding competition?
You definitely want confidence, but you don't want to be cocky. So, like, first impressions are everything in bodybuilding. As soon as you walk out on that stage, the judges, like, you want them to see you. So you stand proud, tall, smile. The way you present yourself in that first, 5 seconds, if you look good, it's going to hold through the rest of the show. So, yeah, you definitely want to be confident, but not cocky at all, because people can also pick up on that too.
So you won your first show.
Yeah.
Did you go there being like, this is fucking mine? Or do you go there being like, however I do it, I'm good with it? You know what I mean? Like, what was
No, because I had posed. So we did posing here in the city. And because it was a local show in Winnipeg, I knew who I was pretty much up against. So I went in knowing I need to hold it together, and I got it kind of thing. So I went in very
Yeah,
confident.
but the difference for you on your first show, I think for anybody with the first show shouldn't be, and which wasn't for you, was about muscle. You wanted to have the most muscle, but you're
conditioning.
focused, and anybody's focus for their first show should be conditioning. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can't control how much muscle you're going to have in your first show. You do your best. There's going to be guys there who are muscle, just big guys who came in because they just had, I'm going to try this sport, but their conditioning's dog shit, and they'll lose the show.
and you
I hate
you won't
that
go
term,
anywhere without
by the way.
conditioning.
Dog shit?
No, I love that term.
Yeah.
Conditioning.
Yeah.
You hate it?
Because the way
it's kind of a
bodybuilders use
it's a
it,
misnomer.
different than-
conditioning is like how
breathing.
lean and how
Oh,
tight you
yes.
are.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Where that's not what the word means.
Right.
But bodybuilders use
And I'm
it
guilty-
endlessly.
yes.
Yeah.
And you'll see it on ESPN and at the Arnold and everything. He's got great conditioning. He's got
Right.
he needs to work on his conditioning. And you're like, who knows?
So what would the technical term be for it?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I mean, I would look at how tight they are, whether they're flat or not, how lean they are.
Right. So words and those words do get, but conditioning is popular.
Conditioning
Big-
is just, it's
definitely.
a term that we use for something
I
else.
think
So
conditioning
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
groups all of that together.
Yeah.
So it's like one word. Well, they use it to group it all together
Yeah.
as one term so that
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
have to say
Right.
flat, lean, full.
But ironically, when you're on stage, you're in the worst shape of your life.
like conditioning wise.
Conditioning wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You
And
are.
that's the funny
breathing
thing
and-
is
yeah.
that you're being praised for great
conditioning,
conditioning,
but you couldn't
But
push
you're
it.
like, I might pass out walking off the stage.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Everything
for
is
sure.
cramped. Yeah.
Yeah. Strongman show. You're a first show. What were your or what would you coach to be expectations?
This varies, right? So it's like it's easy to kind of put a blanket statement all over this and be like, well, everyone should just show up and do their best, which is generally true. Like, don't show up and be like, well, if I can't win, there's no point in doing it, or if I'm not going to be my very best or whatever. Like, just fucking do it because nobody cares. Everyone wants that story of I won my first competition.
Yeah.
I won my first competition. Okay. Nobody else gets that besides me. No, but anyway, I want a novice competition. Who gives a fuck, right? Yeah. So go in and do the competition. And don't concern yourself with how you do or whatever. Now, obviously, there are outliers to that. Like we have a few girls at our gym right now who are new to strongman, not new to lifting. Yeah. So they are expecting to do well, and we expect them to do well. Yeah. You know, are we going to fucking kick them if they don't do well? No. We are. No, we won't. Like we won't. But they'll be upset. You know what I mean? And I'll understand that because they have the ability to do more than just show up and try hard. Yeah. But for the most part, like, you know, we just talked about earlier where it's like no one's if you go there and you bomb all the events, like no one's gonna be like, man, what a fucking idiot. Why would he have come here? You know what I mean? Everyone's like, everyone will respect you for coming. Exactly. People will be like, hey man, like even at Manitoba Strongest Man, like Chris Weeb showed up and he was way out of his depth. Yeah. Way out of his depth. And he knew that going into it. And he was like, I'm just gonna show up and just do what I can do. And I think he zeroed almost every event, but he showed up and tried. And no one left that being like, man, that was a great show, but that one fucking guy, like what was he? No, everyone's just like he showed up and tried.
If you zero an event and you go, so when you zero an event at a comp like that for a first comp and you go back to the athlete's tent, all the veterans or guys who are doing well are literally walking over to you generally and giving you tips. Right. Yeah. Hey man, for next time you do this, you would have been able to move that a little bit. Yeah. You know, here's some little tips to work on in your training.
Yeah. So like you said before, versus like bodybuilding and strongman, you show up to a bodybuilding show out of shape, fat. Yeah. Like you shouldn't be there. Right. You are gonna get ragged on. Really. Like you are gonna be the talk of the town, talk of Instagram, talk of the show about.
I've seen some fuckers,
about you not being good enough to be on that stage.
I've seen
there will not be like there'll be like maybe 10% of people sticking up for this person, but general population, especially the bodybuilders competing in it, they will hammer you.
There's one dude in the city, and we won't say his name. We'll just call him Wife Beater McGee. And he's always on that shit about
narrows it down to about 20 guys.
But he's always on the shit about this person should not have been there, which is so foreign. And I'm not part of that community, so I can't speak to what should or shouldn't or who or should or shouldn't. But it's just so foreign to me, the idea that you would tell someone that they shouldn't be trying to get
especially
into your
novice show,
right? Like to get into your community. To grow a sport that it should be all of our goals to grow our weird niche sports to get bigger. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was always a very weird thing to me. But at the same time, I know that bodybuilding is a little bit more cutthroat than the other sports
and
are.
I've done both, and I'm guilty of that because I've been to many shows. I've been to actually every one of your shows. Mm-hmm. Traveled to all over God's green earth for you. Yeah. And when I did I'd see a girl come on stage all shape or a guy like, oh, they shouldn't even be there. Yeah. And now that you're saying that, and I've actually never even looked at it from that perspective, I'm guilty of that. And I'm like, because in Strongman, I literally promote, be the shittiest person, show up because we will help you. Right. And you come into my gym and I will help you. Like, and I help a lot of people for free. I'm like, everyone came out yesterday from Brick House and your gym, and then you guys came out later, and I was supposed to train. I'm like, I'm training today. Yeah, I ended up spending 2.5 hours helping everybody instead. But I ended up training this morning finally, and I'm guilty of that.
Thrones told me that some people were not picking up on your cues, though, where you're like putting on your sleeves, and you're like,
and
yep.
They just kept coming and coming.
I had my sleeves on, and I'm like, oh, so I ended up not training.
God bless them because they don't know, right?
But I'm guilty of that, and which is good that you said that because I've never looked at it from that perspective in bodybuilding. Like, they're dog shit, and I was that guy who said that. That person shouldn't be there. And now I'm thinking of it, like, and I'm literally having a come to Jesus moment here. Like, I'm guilty of that. And in Strongman, I'm the guy promoting, hey, man, show up shitty and we will help you. Right. I think should show up shitty and then we will help you.
There's two ways of saying they shouldn't be there. Yeah. If you and I are watching a show, plus we've done it, and I go to you, that guy shouldn't be there, we mean he's not ready for this show.
Yes.
Not he should never be there.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
But I feel like people saying it to them publicly or to their face, like you shouldn't be there, is like, stop doing this.
Yeah, I would never do that. No, and I never looked at it like you're saying. Like, they're not ready. They
like
did
the
not.
Person next to you,
their coach or people who had coaches, legitimate coaches, and
should have not let them on stage.
These athletes show up like that. As a coach, you shouldn't have let them show up like that because, for one, makes you look bad as a coach. Two, it's not going to help them and their self-esteem. Yeah, you should know when to dial your athlete back and be like, hey, you know, we missed some steps here. Yeah. Let's just focus on the next one. Yeah. Let's take a step back and focus on the next one.
You guys have all done a bodybuilding competition. Yeah. Do you guys think that there's a learning experience to showing up in that? Like, is there any positive to be taken out of that if you show up in that kind of state?
If you're the right person.
Because bodybuilding is so egotistical and so self-esteem driven, you could crush somebody for the long term. Sure. By doing what I said, pulling an athlete out of the show saying you're not ready because you screwed up could literally end that person's career. Yeah. If that was I shouldn't say could end their lifting. It could push them off and they'll never lift again. Right. Because in my opinion, bodybuilding is very self-esteem, very selfish driven, very egotistical driven. you can really, I can.
Well, it's lots of body image
Yeah.
problems, and a lot of mental health problems.
Yeah.
Ties in with body.
It's pretty inextricably like part of it. I would say like it's just
any
you
heavy lifting.
You have to have some of those things.
You have to. Yeah, you have to. You have to be
riddled
programmed
with
like that.
mental illness.
Yeah.
Powerlifting's riddled with dudes with mental illness. Bodybuilding, you're generally coping with these stupid
See,
sports.
but also,
I have
you had
reverse body
said,
dysmorphia.
you wanted to do bodybuilding in order to like broaden your horizons and learn, right, and coach other people properly.
Let me tell you, there's better ways to learn.
Easier ways.
Crack a
for sure.
fucking book there, Beaver.
But most people aren't doing bodybuilding shows to do that. They're trying to just better themselves, which is the selfish part of the sport.
Yeah.
No, not the bettering themselves. The bettering themselves is the part. The guys who do it just to better themselves and be happy. But what you're saying is the extreme side. They're trying to just, I wouldn't say bettering themselves is that.
Well, no, I learned a lot. Like, Noah taught me a lot. Like, I can do anything I want to do now. And I go with that mentality into everything, right? So it's, I've took a lot out of it, other than
the focus and discipline you get from bodybuilding was second to none. What I accomplished in my little prep I did, and I did it with Darren. Actually, I introduced Jenaya Bergen because Darren's a good friend of mine and a mentor, going back to episode 1. But anyways, is that let me focus all the way through to my businesses. So the reason I own the business I do today, I can directly attribute to lifting, and a big part of that prep. Because I bought into the company I'm in now during my prep. I was doing the business deal because I'm like, I just felt so unstoppable. I'm like, well, if I can lose all this body fat and actually look good from the eyes down, like it's that helped me. That actually helped shape a lot of the life I'm in today.
Right.
Gave me a lot of mental issues, I think, too, is with body dysmorphia and everything else. But it helped shape a lot of the business stuff I'm in today. Was that prep?
I was gonna say that I get like the mental illness in bodybuilding that's prevalent. It's in all the sports too. Like it's in all the strength sports and the muscle sports where it's like I have like I said
well, that's true. Yeah, in strongman,
kind of half jokingly, I have like reverse body dysmorphia, but it's kind of real.
Some of those days that Pam came in there, it was like
310 pounds, like, man, I look good.
Yeah. The opposite of that. If I drop below 300 pounds, I'm like, wow, I'm wasting away. I'm so weak and small right now. You know what I mean? Like I was 297 this morning because I was gone for a couple days this week and my diet was off. And I went from 303 to 297, and I was like, I'll never.
The worst thing you can hear.
Like,
the worst thing you can hear. Like I've taken a couple months off training just because of talking about mental illness. And someone said to me, man, you're looking small. Like, you lose some weight. And they're all excited, man. Like, you're looking good. And I'm like,
they need us a good
I'm literally
thing.
going to, like, I want to burn your house down.
Yeah, I will kill you.
Now I'm going to cry.
Because, and I'm still 245, but because I took some months off, things withered down, And I was just, like, destroyed hearing that.
If I was 245, I would shoot myself in the head.
You would not look. You would look like little Tyler that I first met back at
I came back from China at 245 pounds.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I had a Zoom call on Wednesday, and that morning at the gym, I weighed in 234. Like since the pandemic,
lean
that's like
234.
Well, that's like a low for me since the beginning of the pandemic. Just before the pandemic, I did a bench only at 220.
But you had a cut for that.
And I was like feeling good because I'm like, okay, my weight's down. It's heading in the right direction. And then I got on the Zoom call. I'm like, my shoulders look so small. And I went from like feeling good to super insecure.
You should have taken your shirt off.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, now I want to get
I
big.
look sweet with the shirt off.
Hence the sweater today.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Black sweater.
Yeah.
Back to the question, and we'll round it out with powerlifting. I think my advice is always based off of, I think all my opinions are based off of things I hate, but new powerlifters going in saying I have to win.
Right.
Oh.
And the whole 9 for 9 thing.
Yeah.
Those things chap me so much.
That doesn't make sense to me. Even.
The have to win comes back to, sure, we would all like to win.
Yeah.
But like you preparing with a mentality that you're going to win is disrespectful to the sport.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, you have no control over who shows up.
Right. Yeah.
So what if Dan Green shows up and he's in your weight class?
9 for 9, baby.
Yeah. And 9 for 9 to me just says you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You're leaving weight on the table.
But if you hit 9 for 9, it's like whatever. But for that to be a goal, like I could hit 9 for 9 very easily.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I don't get that. Like,
yeah.
No, what and you're way smarter than like you've coached a lot more pilots than I have. I only have a couple.
We'll say the first sentence.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. You're way smarter than I am in that. But the athletes I coach, I try to get them to go 6 for 9 minimum. Let's hit the opener. Let's get the second one. Yeah, see if we can get a PR. And I always send the third one to the moon. And that's something I actually got from you and McDowell.
Yeah.
Was I'm like, no, if we're gonna do a third one, we already got 2. We got the PR.
Yeah.
or we got the number we want in competition. Now, what's a number you've wished you could hit today? Well, I wish I could hit this. Well, let's try hitting it. We fail. We still got what we came for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before my first meet, I emailed Dave Tate, and I just said, "Hey, Dave, I've been preparing. I've been following like your guys in West Side's type programming."
What year was that?
Yeah.
94.
Oh wait.
Oh,
wait. Yeah.
So it would have been very early on in his whole.
10 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah. EFS was off the ground in '98. And he got back to me pretty quickly, and he was like, "Open with an easy triple. Your second's a 5-pound PR. Your third, you either reattempt the 5-pound PR or you go for broke."
Wow.
And every show when I hit my second lift, I'd let Chris pick my third one. And I didn't care.
He wouldn't even tell you what it was.
Nope. I had a bench once, and it was like 375 or an obscure number because it's translated from kilo. So 372 or whatever the heck it was. And I'm feeling good. Like it went up fairly well. And Chris is like, big pat on the back. Awesome. He's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. You pick." He's like, 405. I'm like, "Do it." I had never touched 405 in my life. It came down faster than gravity in me. And he's like, "I thought you could get it." I'm like, "So did I."
If you asked me 2 seconds ago, I would have said yes too. I thought.
Yeah. But any new power lifter, I always stress, right now your total is 0.
Right.
Get a total.
Yeah.
Then we can work from that. Know your numbers going in, get a total. And the second show is way more important than the first one.
Right. Well, I was thinking about doing the WRPF meet, and it didn't line up well with training for this May competition. But even me, Devin, going into this competition, I was like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm not going to deadlift as much as I can in strongman. My bench kind of sucks, and my squats whatever. But I have my total is 0 right now. So anything that I get above that is great. And it's not my sport, and I fucking know that, so I don't really care. But it was if I can check my giant ego, you got to be able to check yours too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To do something like that, because you're probably not going to win. You're probably not going to do as well as you want to, even really. But your total is no longer 0.
Yeah.
Unless you bomb out.
Exactly. Yeah.
You hear that, Jenaya?
No.
You can enter a strongman or powerlifting competition and not have to win.
Yeah. That's same with deadlifts for dreams. Just doing that, I feel like I need to train for it. I need to get like my heaviest deadlift up. I've been like,
Jenaya, I will give you a program for this. I will give you a deadlift program. So yeah, but do I have to rest more than 60 seconds? Just your top sets. we can't program this. I'm like, Jenaya, just give me your first 15 minutes of your work or 20 minutes. I will program that session of the deadlifts and this and that just to get you there. You can do whatever the hell you want after that, right? Just let me program that. Yeah, what do I do during the rest periods? I don't know.
Fucking push-ups.
Go
mentally fucked.
Shoot a beaver in the freaking river behind the gym. I don't know. Like, figure it out.
Scream at the
This is
wall.
what
You literally will have enough time to walk down there, shoot a beaver, and come back. Right?
That's always been actually a tough thing for me to manage with deadlifts for dreams because it's such a feel-good thing
I've never
for me.
seen you lift there.
Well, I'm way too anxious on the day of.
So you
Like,
lift this year?
It's crossed my mind. Well,
I didn't lift last year, so
yeah.
I
And I'm just like, I'm so nervous on the day of because I want everything to be perfect. But it's such a feel good thing for me when people tell me like I'm not going to do deadlifts for dreams because I have this show coming up or I just finished nationals. And like the angry, bitter old man in me is like, come pull a token. Like it's not about you.
Yeah.
The day isn't about you.
And that's you couldn't have worded it better. It's not about you.
I need to get that out of my head.
I try to word it better because I don't want to say an asshole thing promoting this thing that I love so much. That's such a feel good thing. But inside, I'm just like, pull 135.
But
no one's going to leave and talk
to
about your deadlift because it's about Spencer this year or it was about Maya or Apollo. You know what I mean?
There's no. You said you don't want to be an asshole, but there's literally no better response than that, which is like, fuck you. It's not about you.
I need you there with me.
Yeah, it's not about your shitty little deadlift. It's about and
come to your deadlift day at our gym, and then when you're your top set of 5, go pull your first rep on the platform.
Everybody is gonna peak, and guess what? Even me, we're all gonna have shitty little deadlifts compared to somebody else. So don't worry about it. Like it's not a big deal. Like,
it's just a fun. Like last year was so fun and like
the
Patrick and giving people extra attempts and just and thrones and guys going head to head. Like your adrenaline just gets going.
But those two are still beaking each other. Like given the extra attempts between Gord and Pat and those guys, they still beat each other for coming up to this
and that's
year.
the fun of it.
That
like
is,
we're building a
because it's leading it
community
into
with
this year
this
again.
thing, and you're missing out on that community because you're like, I might not do my best. And you're like, yeah, okay.
No,
who cares?
No one cares.
Yeah.
And it's like it sounds like a weird like what's the word? Negative, sort of like pessimistic thing.
Yeah.
But it's the best thing. No one cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares how you pull. It's
That's
about
the freest
raising
way to
fucking
compete.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did Patrick tell you about my DM?
No.
On his story, he posted his back, and he was like, got a little sunburn today.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, too bad extreme heat doesn't make traps raised like bread. First time I've ever talked to the guy.
Did he comment back?
He's like, are you trying to tell me something? And I just sent like a stupid
Because he posted
emoji
2
or
pictures. The
whatever.
one before, I just commented that he was just a giant pussy. And he just never responded. So it's pretty funny that you commented right after.
I saw him at the WRPF meeting, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I just want to say that it's really good. It's a real inspiration for us all to see the first like openly gay powerlifter here." At the
Yes. His hairdresser got offended. He was at the gym. He was like, my hairdresser's mad. I'm like, why your hairdresser mad that we called you gay? Because you said my haircut looked gay. And she's like, how am I cutting your hair that makes you look gay? Like, why is my haircut gay? And I'm like, oh, I get it.
Because of the face it's attached to.
How can a hairstylist not know that gay men have the nicest hair of all?
Yeah,
like that's the
That would be a compliment.
That's like the ultimate compliment. Say that you have a gay guy's haircut. Like I do not have one. None of us here have a gay guy's haircut. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah.
I guess we can pretty much call it there then. Hey, the gay guy's haircut. You can stick around for the next one.
I don't think so.
Okay, so then thanks so very much to Jenaya Bergen /Hofer.
What's your Instagram, Jenaya?
Janea H5.
Jenaya H5.
Isn't it Jenaya.h?
No. Janea
Change it?
H5.
Janaya has also started training people, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she's working, she's hustling. So if you're looking for, if you're a man or woman who's looking for a bodybuilding coach, is that, or you is it more
Everything.
generalized than that?
Well, she's
It's
doing-
more general pop.
Okay,
She's doing group training at our gym. And
Yeah,
so if you're
so
in the
she's
St.
working-
Malo Steinbach and you're looking for group training, her and my wife Danielle are doing, and she's doing her own groups. Her and Danielle do a conditioning class.
Yeah.
What
Conditioning
kind
class.
of what kind of condition?
Yeah.
Real conditioning. The actual.
Circuit training, and she
actual
does group like
conditioning.
women's and men's group training classes, like more
literally
weightlifting.
nobody in the province that you could learn better from than probably these two sisters in terms of just like general fitness and stuff. In terms
Yeah.
of the two ladies who are keeping it on lock here. So we got Jenaya there. We got Deadlift for Dreams. We got Beakley Mobile. We got Manitoba Strongman, Strong and Petty, Devin Penner, Training Grounds,
Red River Siding.
Red River Siding,
Yeah. it.
Bud Light Enjoyer
Bud
69.
Oh, they're covered up.
Mine's Chud Life and Iron Age Strength, and sign up for a competition.